Hey guys, Peekmove here. This is a self-improvement video of basically how to look over your own VODs and improve yourself from it. This concept works for any ELO, in my opinion. You can be master tier or even bronze tier, and it's going to help you no matter what, as long as you're willing to actually improve. If you want to improve, you can. It's not that complicated, in my opinion. For anyone who doesn't know who I am, I'm Peekmove, 3 times challenger last season, 3 times the season before that, and then um, challenger right now. And then I've played in I've played in challenger series for seasons before that, and I've had challenger before those 2 seasons too. But anyways, let's move on to it. So I'm going to be looking over or showing you guys how to look at mistakes, what to ask when you see those mistakes, and then mentality. Um, it's pretty important. And I'm going to be just skimming over mentality really quickly because that's not what the video is about, but it is important, in my opinion, to self-improve, to understand what a good mentality could be and what a bad mentality could be. So, uh, very important that you will be focused on yourself over others, because if you're so focused on others that you miss your own mistakes, that can be a huge deal. It doesn't help you. If you're actually flaming someone so hard that you actually forget your own mistakes and don't want to look over the VOD, it's well, there goes your improvement. So I'll just make it super simple. Only focus on your own mistakes, not others, ever, for self-improvement. And then every single death that you die is your own. If you're AD carry and your support messed up and didn't help you, it's your fault. It doesn't matter. Um, if you're playing mid lane and you need a reset from your jungler and you die, it's your fault. Just think of it that way. Even if it is his fault, just think it's yours. It'll make it so you can improve faster. Because if you flame him and you tell him what he did wrong, you're helping him. Think of it that way. Why do you want to help the guy? You don't want to help the guy. You don't like the guy. Why are you flaming him and telling him what to do better? Just don't talk to him at all. So let's go over key concepts of what self-improvement can be over, so you get a general understanding of what you can look over during VOD review. So during VOD review of your own VODs, these are the key concepts that I'm going to be going over. There's more than just this probably, but this is just a simple way to look at it. Kills, deaths, CSing, matchup, roaming, roles, objectives, and backing. These are the things that you can be looking over during your own VOD review. You're like, oh, what am I supposed to be looking over? This is what you can be looking over, right? So now for the actual self-improvement. It's pretty simple. All you need to do is ask why questions. Well, not all. Okay, so mostly you ask why questions. I think the why is the most important question when VOD reviewing yourself. And then you ask the why question to the concepts I stated earlier. And don't worry, I'm going to give examples of how to do this because I guess it can be a little complicated for some people. Believe it or not, it's really that simple though. Some people are going to understand what why question to ask sooner, but you can start this from any elo, from bronze to master tier. It will help you out if you're not already doing it. A lot of my coaching experience for just solo queue players, right? I've coached diamond players, and I do this. I ask them why to understand not if they did something right or wrong, but I want to know what they're thinking about in game, why they did a certain thing, why they backed, why are they pushing right now? You know, there is no right or wrong answer sometimes. I just want to know what they're thinking about and if they're thinking about that after the game is ended. Because when you do coaching session and I'm talking with the player and having them think themselves, it's actually going to probably help them out. Um, so when you do the why question, basically you notice something is either good or bad, and then you can remember that for future games, and that's why it's going to help you out. And then to make questions even better, the going backwards, or what I call past coaching. The name doesn't really matter. Don't think of it. Just think of it as going backwards, I guess. But for tons of concepts, if you go backwards from the point that you see a mistake and think of every single little tiny thing that could have led up to it, like maybe being behind in CS, you can look at every single little tiny trade you took and how you messed up during it or why you died, and look at every single tiny mistake going backwards to see how you died. it helps out a lot. And you keep asking why. Why did I take a trade here? Why did I miss CS here? Etc. Just going backwards and keep on asking the same question. Super important. And then right before I go over the examples, which will be next, basically, another reason I think why asking questions about yourself and finding solutions is super important for improving is basically when you go to school and you go to a teacher and you're learning a subject, right? You don't just go there and the teacher just teaches you the subject, right? She just says, "Oh, I'm gonna give you guys the solution, and then you guys are gonna have a test, right?" Just immediately. There's no practice or anything. No, teachers will put questions on the board. You're gonna raise your hand sometimes, sometimes they ask questions. They have you think about the subject, and then they have you do a test later. You're doing homework at home, right? That's you looking at something that happened and asking what to do. You're asking questions about the thing, and you're trying to learn. And the more you do that, the more you learn. And how that goes with this is, I feel that when you're in game, that's a test. I feel that's a test. So when you're in a game, you're being tested. You're not asking as many questions. And then when you're out of game, you can be looking at your own stuff and you can be asking your own questions about your own gameplay, right? So if you're always just playing games to improve, you might improve. If you keep on taking tests of a certain math subject over and over again, you're going to improve. But studying the math subject and understanding it further and asking questions of why maybe even the concept works too, like because they teach you what's behind the math sometimes to understand the concept to help you understand it further. That's what the why question is for this. When you're asking why, and League isn't as complicated as math, you can normally figure out, oh, he's pushing because he wants to get a deep ward. You can see that in the gameplay. So that's basically what I'm saying here. It's pretty important to do this, especially for your own VOD review. But then another thing is, right before the examples, look over pro reviews of champions that you yourself are VOD reviewing that you play, right? You play Talia mid, right? Look up your favorite pro, Bjergsen, Pobelter. Look up their Talia and look at what they do and ask the same exact questions. Look at the matchup. If you can find the same matchup, normally people have a kind of a plan, Oh, I'm playing versus a melee, so I'm actually not going to hard shove early because I want to get a little bit of harassing. Because if I hard shove, you can see us under tower. Who knows? Just question every single little thing that they do, and then compare it to your own gameplay and question it. You're like, oh, wait, I can do this. I saw Bjergsen do this. That will help me out, right? So you can see the differences when you look up pro, but be sure to also don't just look up pro. Look at your own gameplay because you need to be looking at what your mistakes are too. When you're looking at pro, you might notice more like, oh, that was really good by him. You're not going to notice as many mistakes because they should normally be better than you. So, but you can at least say, oh, that's actually really smart. I'm going to try to do that in my own gameplay. So now I'll go on to the examples. So first example, I'm going to do Talia versus Orianna. And this is just going to be all imaginary. You can think of it. I'm sorry if it's not going to be the easiest for you to imagine it, but basically, you're going to be blue side, she's going to be red side, you're going to be Talia versus Orianna, and you're level 7, and you have no summoners. She ultis to kill you. When you went for a CS because you were low. And you just start out, why did I die? Let's say you couldn't figure out any mistakes earlier. Nothing was going wrong. So, why did I die? Because I was too low and no summoners and instantly died to an ult, so there's a mistake there, which is, oh, I should have recalled. Or there could be something else a bit later. So, why did I get low? Because I was taking harass from CS. Every single time I went for a CS, she was queuing me. So that means you should probably look up a matchup of this that a pro is playing and look up how did they manage to do it? What do they do correctly versus Orianna to make it so you're not taking bad trades? Because that means your matchup is kind of not doing that well. But then there's even more than that. Like, why do I have no flash? Why is my flash down? Well, because I was ganked throughout 3 minutes. Why was I ganked at 3 minutes? Oh, you were pushed up in lane because you were just hard shoving an Oriana in. And then you didn't know where he was going to come from, so you just warded topside. Well, how did I get ganked? It's not always going to be why, right? How did I get ganked? Well, I got ganked from bot side. Okay, so why did I ward topside then? Well, because you didn't look at where he started. Well, how can you look at where he started? Well, I didn't look at the laner's leash. Bot lane was in lane and top lane was late, so that means he started topside, right? And then now you know where. Oh, okay. So now that you looked at all this information, just from asking why and going backwards, you went from just, oh, I should have recalled there. Darn. Now you know a whole bunch of new information and the little tiny details that led up to the situation that made you die, right? So now you know, oh, okay, who leashed? It looks like top lane leashed next game. Let's say we're in next game now. Who leashed? It doesn't matter the matchup anymore because now you learned general tips about what you did during the lane. Okay, so I know that I'm gonna ward the opposite side because you go from red to blue, then gank normally. Some some junglers level 2 gank, and that could be itself help, right? You play versus Camille or Zinzao, and you get ganked level 2. Oh, I died. Is that my jungler's fault? No, I'm not going to get pissed off. I'm going to realize that these two champions, I should ward maybe level 1 on the first wave to make sure I don't get cheesed by this level 2 gank, right? You could always learn more just from asking why did that work? Well, and what can I do to counter it? So when you look at the information and just ask why and go backwards, you just learn more basically. And then for like the final one, which was okay, so she killed you, right? Ask the jungler to help you out. That's another thing that could have been done. And if the jungler can't help you, then you just recall. Simple. You learned a lot more from going backwards and asking the questions of why this certain thing happened than just looking at it and saying, "Oh, I died. Darn. That was a mistake of mechanics or something." And then let's go a bit easier to understand about what questions to ask. So, as Talia, I might be asking about my walls, my engages. When can I use my engages? When was it opportunity or when was there poor? And then let's make it even simpler. If I'm playing Zach, he's an engager. He's pretty simple engager. I know that I'm the engager. And if I don't engage the entire game, then I'm probably doing something wrong. I'm not playing correctly. Understanding the why of why you engage too. Literally, you can just ask questions. Why did I engage here? Well, because I notice we have numbers advantage, or because I know that we're ahead, so we win. You can do all of that. So just keep on asking yourself why, and it's going to benefit you because if you know why you engaged and why it didn't work or why it did work, you're going to say next time is going to have less hesitation, right? There's going to be less hesitation when you play Zac next time. You're going to be like, oh, I have numbers advantage right now. I see that we have a TP ward. I'm going to ping my top laner's TP and I'm going to engage right here. So when you keep on asking questions afterwards, because if you played that Zac game and you engaged and you died, right? You just died. You engage and you lose the team fight, and then you don't go over why it went wrong afterwards. You're gonna forget it. I guarantee it. You're not gonna look at the game during the game. You're probably gonna be looking like, wow, my teammates maybe messed up here. Maybe it was a mistake by me, but you're not gonna be looking over why it was a mistake. You're just gonna know it was a mistake, but you're not looking why it was. So let's go over an example in the jungle now. Um, so you're going to be Zac, and you're going to be against Trundle, and you're going to do blue, wolves, and then red, and then you die at red buff, level 3, to Trundle. Trundle invades you and he kills you. So does that mean that Trundle is OP? No. Does that mean that Zac is bad? No. Should you be convinced that he's OP? No. Or somehow was it your team's fault? No. Like nothing. Or that they didn't give you a good leash. No. Just focus on your own mistake and what you could have done to fix it. And ask yourself why I died. Well, because now you know the matchup, which was the core concept, a matchup is very hard early on. He can invade me. And then why was he able to do it? Because he was able to, I wasn't able to know where he was. Honestly, that's basically the reason of why I died here. I couldn't see him. I couldn't see him. I used my E on the buff, possibly, right? I used my E on the buff, so I couldn't even run away. He just flashed after me. So maybe I know now why was I unable to get away from him? I used my E. So I need to save my E in this matchup. But now you can ask even more, oh, how can I counter this? What can I do? Why did this even happen? So basically, you can't 1v1 him because that's how the matchup goes. So I'll give a few examples of stuff to help it. If I was thinking, okay, so the E thing is something super minor, but what if my team invades him, level 1, to know where he starts? So if he starts on the same side as me, it means that he can easily path the way that I do. If he starts on the opposite side, that means that possibly he will path incorrectly. So invading and knowing where he started. If he started red buff, right? Oh, and then Zach is red side for this. I apologize. I should have said that. So you're red side for this. So he went his red, like just blue, and then he went for you. So it looks like maybe if you didn't do wolves, you have to look at your pathing. Oh, why was he able to come in? Because my pathing was incorrect, possibly. But then, oh, I can invade level 1, and I can get a ward down to see where he is. So then I can ask my mid laner too to ward on the first wave because it's a combination, right? Let's say it's a combination of um, because it's hard early. You ask mid toward the river on the side that you're going to go to. You don't even need to invade. Let's say you can't invade, it's too hard. They have a Braum or something. It's too hard to invade. So you ask your mid laner, and you have to ask. Like, if you don't ask, the mid laner is not going to automatically do this. But it's something that you can do to improve. This will help you. If you actually, another thing that is kind of important, this is completely unrelated to self improvement, but using your teammates effectively, like, and telling them what to do is pretty important. If I'm playing Zac versus Trundle, and I'm red side, and I start blue buff, and I'm going to go red buff, if I tell my mid laner, hey, first wave, can you ward top side? I would be able to, then when I go to my red buff, I would be able to see Trundle walking through river to invade me. So then I know that it's coming. So I could either stop it and let him have it. I could just stand around a corner and try to smite it away from him. Or if I get a deep ward in and I see him do it super early because we're starting on opposite sides, so he goes like his red because he's blue side to my blue, and I started red this time. So now I can't go to my blue, but since mid lane warded the river, because just ward where I'm going to go towards. Now that I see that he's going there, I'll just go to the enemy jungle and just take his and trade. So as you can see, you just keep asking questions about why certain things happen and how you can do certain things to fix it. So hope the examples helped. Basically, this is a quick summary of what this all was. Just have a good mentality. Um, you have to only focus on yourself. If you are focusing on others, it's not going to help you. Ask the simple questions just to make it so you have simple answers. When you don't get too complicated about it. When you get more complicated about it, it might make it harder to understand what to do. Like, he invaded me. What can I do to stop it? What can I do? Oh, I just ward so I see him coming. It's not always a complicated answer. League of Legends is not that complicated of a game. So just try to ask simple questions. It'll make it easier. Watch your VODs and pro VODs, because I guarantee it, if you look at the matchup that I just talked about, and let's say it was a hard matchup that you don't know how to play, and then you look up a professional, Zac versus Trundle, you're like, wow, Peckin's right. He like tried to get a ward, or he tried to invade early, or he tried to match the Trundle because he understands where he's going to go, or he looks at where the jungler uh, got leashed and then reacts accordingly, or just maybe he just gives up the buff and just keeps on farming for experience because the buffs are worth the same as much as any camp. So just do your raptors while he's doing your red buff, or just go to his raptors or something. Like, just stay even and farm. There's just always more to improve, and there's more things to learn about. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if there's any questions about this in the comments, and I hope that a lot of people can improve from this. And basically, I'll see you guys next time. And I hope I helped a lot of people out.